All right, so for the rest of the speakers, you got to speak into the microphone, right? So, all right, our next speaker is going to talk about inside bad, outside good. Erik, come on up.
Okay, going Bon Jovi style, so we're just gonna do it. Here we go, whenever you're ready. I have been an outdoor educator, a wilderness educator, if you will, for 30 years. And I've done trips with kids in Joshua Tree, Death Valley, Mojave, the High Sierra, the swamps of Florida, the orca-infested waters of Puget Sound. That has been my life, for better or for worse, for the past 30 years. A fair question to ask would be why? The working conditions are terrible, the pay is awful, so what am I doing out there? And more importantly, what's happening to kids when we take kids outdoors on these adventures? What sort of transformations take place when we get kids out of the classroom, out in front of their screens, and get them out into the wilderness? One of the things that happens is that they have fun. And I think we have this kind of 19th century Dickensian hangover about how learning has to be this kind of grim, gritty experience. But when kids are having fun, they oftentimes open themselves up cognitively, emotionally, to all kinds of new experiences. So fun actually brings with it quite a bit of development. And in addition to which, they become their authentic selves, right? They become who they are. All the layers of the way that we define them socially and sort of artificially, they start to bleed away and they become who they were meant to be in so many ways. That's my son. And when they're out there, they have a tendency to sort of start thinking about themselves a little bit differently. There's something called narrative identity theory. And what that means is that we tell ourselves stories about our lives to make meaning. Otherwise, we're just wandering around in existential crisis and none of us know what's going on. But narrative identity theory works best when we have experiences that are vibrant and exciting. And here's the thing about experiences in the outdoors. They create actual moments where you can actually sort of think about how you are progressing through life. It's not abstract. It's not cerebral. It's real. You've accomplished goals. You've had adventures. You've had failures. And that transforms the kids that are on these sorts of adventures because they have this kind of tactile knowledge of how they've overcome their challenges. But it's not just about them. It's about their friends too. Nowhere do we get a chance to kind of connect with other human beings better than when you're suffering together in the outdoors. Mosquitoes, cold, you're Vermonters, many of you, you know the deal. It's what brings us together. I love talking about the weather because it's one of my favorite topics in the world because we all experience it. And here's the other thing that kids get in the outdoors. They get to be impulsive. You know, we think about impulsive in sort of as a pathology, but in fact, you can have impulses towards empathy. You can have impulses towards courage. You can have impulses towards all sorts of great things. So impulsivity may not be the bad thing that we think it is. And in addition to which, curiosity takes flight when we take kids outdoors. The natural world requires them to explore, and exploration, just as a human drive, and curiosity go hand in hand. By taking them outdoors, they begin to explore not just that place, but themselves, each other, and how they sort of fit into the whole picture. But with curiosity and exploration comes ambiguity, which is not knowing, not being sure, being a little bit frightened of the outcome. And if we can offer kids that experience, when they get into sort of larger scale, bigger stakes experiences later in life, they'll have that kind of real understanding of what ambiguity feels like. And they do it together, right? One of the most important things about sort of taking kids on these wilderness adventures is that they have to travel together. They have to explore together. They have to get lost together. I was just getting college students lost this morning. So it's what they need to do to find themselves, right? And so it becomes this really important part of their story, their narrative identity. And the best parts of the outdoors are when it gets really boring and there's absolutely nothing to do and you have to make your own fun. Because everything is interesting if we just look at it long enough. And so that boredom, as Walter Benjamin says, gives birth to the dream bird of experience. And so boredom becomes this incredible ignition. We live in a world of bullies right now. We live in a world where there's a lot of people telling us who we can be or not be, what we can say and not say. And there is nothing that scares a bully worse than someone who knows their value and is strong and capable. So if we can get young people to know who they are and how strong they are, we can beat back the bullies. The great thing about the outdoors is that it kind of gets rid of this whole accomplishment scenario that we all hang on to. I have goals. I'm going to climb to the top. I'm going to see this. I'm going to get these things. It becomes much more about the path. Path is goal, goal is path, as we like to say. And so it becomes not about accomplishment. It becomes not about achievement, but it becomes about the journey. And when you're on that journey, you actually get to experience something that we don't talk about a lot, which is reverie. We all talk about being critical thinkers or analytic people, but whatever happened to daydreaming? The outdoors lends itself to kids having the opportunity to do exactly that, to daydream, to sort of fall into a state of reverie. One of the things I noticed with my college students at Champlain is that the difference between need and want needs to be defined for them. They want so many things. They want to be successful. They want to do this. They want to get a degree. They want an extension on their homework, whatever it is, but they need very little. They need each other, and they need to be outside, maybe a tarp to keep the rain off, and that's it. That's me when I was 19 years old working for Outward Bound. That's where it all started for me. And in that moment, I decided, for better or for worse, that that was the life I wanted. I wanted to be in the swamps of Florida taking incarcerated youth on 30-day canoe trips because it meant something to me. And in those moments, I felt like I really understood the things that I could do, the things that I could sort of enact in the world in a way that made sense. And so I've spent 30 years taking all kinds of kids on all kinds of adventures all over the place. But it's become more than just a profession for me. It's become more than sort of my work. It's become the sort of backdrop for the things that are so important and valuable to me. One of them is sitting here in the front row, and it's my wife. The outdoors has become this place, this backdrop, where the most important moments of my life happen. Not a lot happens indoors for me. It's not a very interesting place. I mean, you guys are interesting. It's not you. This is great. But generally speaking, I'd rather just be outdoors because that's where the adventure happens, right? That's where the fun happens. And of all the things in my life that the outdoors has taught me, the one most important is that as a parent, I make a lot of mistakes and rarely know what I'm doing, I feel like. But if I can get my kids outside, I know that at least on that day, I have done one good, true thing. Thank you very much.